Health Vision strategy launched, 500 more turnkey homes to be constructed this year, and Salvation Army assured of government support. Welcome to this, our first edition of Weekly Digest for the year 2014. This program is a production of the Government Information Agency that keeps you updated on what the government has been doing. With the details, I'm your host, Vinita Meshwar. The government has pledged its continuous support for the Salvation Army's Drug and Substance Abuse Rehabilitation Program. The program, since its beginning, has played a key role tackling the issue of addiction to alcohol and drugs and other substances.
The Salvation Army's Drug and Substance Abuse Rehabilitation Program gives addicts an opportunity to redeem themselves by becoming reintegrated into society and contributing to nation building. Finance Minister Dr. Ashni Singh, while lauding the program, said government is supportive of the initiative and will continue to invest in the program. While commending the clients for staying with the rehabilitation program, Minister Singh added that Guyana needs their support and their contributions to propel national development.
No government alone can overcome and conquer, can cross every hurdle and overcome every challenge faced by our country. Responsible social partners, responsible citizens are an absolutely critical prerequisite if our country is to achieve what we want of it. It is for this reason that I salute the Salvation Army as I do.
Currently, government contributes $10 million annually to the program, while a capital grant of $16 million was presented to the organization to expand its facilities.
I continue to hold the belief that if we are able to help one citizen find his way back to the right path, then we would have accomplished much. If we are able to help dozens and hundreds, then we really are achieving a great deal, and we really deserve to be complimented in the highest and most generous possible manner.
The program, since its inception, has made a big impact, as many who have walked in as addicts have left free of addiction to alcohol and drugs as well as other substances.
Guyana has achieved the Millennium Development Goal of universal primary education and now focuses on achieving a similar status regarding secondary education.
Education Minister Priya Manikchand said that the education sector is now collaborating with teachers to achieve quality education, even as work has begun to target achievement of secondary education.
We intend to achieve universal secondary education before the first term of the Donald Ramatara administration ends. That means that students across the country who are of a secondary age can access a general secondary education. That means 5 years of secondary curriculum.
Whilst full access to secondary education has been achieved in some regions, more work has to be done in regions 1, 7, 8, and 9.
Some of the areas, I'm pleased to say, don't need new buildings. What they need are transportation modes. So in some places, say Region 1, we don't need to throw up new buildings. What we need to do is to provide transportation for children to get from point A to point B.
Extra attention is planned for hinterland education, with specific attention to resources at the dormitories and accommodation for teachers, which would ensure that all resources are made available to all hinterland students.
The Central Housing and Planning Authority is targeting the construction of 500 turnkey houses in 2014 in response to the high demand for homes.
The turnkey homes, we are targeting in 2014 500 of these homes. We completed a number of these homes in 2013. So we are hoping that in 2014, we're going to target more than 500 of these homes.
The government's turnkey home is preferred by applicants since it minimizes the time taken between allocation, loan application, and construction by immediately providing two-bedroom houses.
A lot of applicants now are requesting from the ministry to be part of the turnkey homes, the young professional homes, and what we have launched, the clerical office workers homes. And now we even have a lower high income home. And that is for many reasons. One is that it works out far cheaper for them. In some cases, based on their estimate and our estimate, they're saving more than $4,000 per square foot. And I must say that Mr. Gildari did some thorough analysis on this. And in some cases, it saves as much as $5,000 per square foot. So the demand by our applicants now is shifting from land ownership to home ownership.
The construction of the homes is having a positive impact on the economies of the neighboring communities where they are being constructed. In 2013, the CHPA constructed a number of these houses in Eccles and employed more than 400 persons from nearby communities, inclusive of Agricola and Moko.
The Health Ministry launched Health Vision 2020, a strategy that aims to ensure that the people of Guyana are among the healthiest in the Caribbean and the Americas.
The Vision 2020 health strategy will serve as a guide to move the sector forward in various areas and was compiled with input from a wide range of stakeholders.
There was a declaration of primary health care, which asked countries to put in place systems that would deliver care closest to where they live, and that it would be more comprehensive, cascading up to all their needs. The second principle is that of individual empowerment and the responsibility that each person has when it comes to their own health, the information that they need, the measures they need to take, the behaviors and practices. Active social participation is very critical for health systems like ours that is so extensively provided by the state, where people need to give feedback, be a part of the planning, be a part of the implementation and monitoring and evaluation parts of health services delivery. The evidence-based planning and decision making is a must, and one of the principles that we built this strategy around to ensure that whatever we do, that there's value for money and that there's adequate amount of resources that are allocated and utilized effectively. Sustainable development is a part of our larger developmental strategy, and in this instance is sustaining the services that we have.
The Chief Medical Officer added that the health strategy is intended to move the country towards achieving its Millennium Development Goals.
Reduction of child mortality is very critical, and we talked about that in our target, and improving maternal health also. Combating HIV, AIDS, malaria, and other diseases is also pivotal to achieving the Millennium Development Goal and implementing our strategy as it were. Basically, we need to halve the number of new spread of HIV, number of cases, and reduce the incidence of malaria, tuberculosis, and other major diseases. Environmental sustainability is critical to health of our people, and even though there are several agencies involved in this, I think it's pivotal that we address the concerns of environmental health and the environment as we move forward. And of course, there's a whole need for global partnerships, which is crucial for any robust health system to be developed.
The first Health Vision 2020 strategy is a long-term plan which seeks to put in motion a landscape for the implementation of improved systems of health for all Guyanese. The Ministry of Health intends to create an enabling framework for full participation and a collaborative effort which will result in the delivery of quality, effective and responsive delivery of health services.
In 2013, the government has made available to the 6 municipalities a subvention of $65 million. It was utilized to enhance environmental conditions within the municipalities and simultaneously provide improved delivery of services.
Anna Regina received $9 million, New Amsterdam $10 million, Rose Hall $8 million, Corriverton $8 million, Linden $10 million, and Georgetown $20 million. Excluding Georgetown, the subventions funded primarily road rehabilitation work and the clearing of drains and maintenance of culverts and bridges.
Anna Regina, which municipality continues to be the best performer among the six, would have received $9 million. And they did spend that primarily on 7 projects. And their projects, remember that is that municipality residents depend primarily on primary production and agriculture as a source of livelihood. And so their 7 projects focus primarily on the construction of concrete box culverts, that's to help with drainage. It focused on desilting of some 1,500 rods of drains. That's an extensive amount. And it focused also on the rehabilitation and upgrading of roads. And they achieve a 100% in terms of completion.
Government had moved to acquire 2 trucks to assist with solid waste collection and transportation. The municipality is still at the procurement stage of acquiring the vehicles, since this process started late.
Georgetown gets $20 million. They have moved to acquire 2 trucks to assist with solid waste collection and transportation. The process was started a little late, and so they have not been able to acquire the trucks as yet. But the procurement process has started for them, and we expect that during early 2014, in fact during the month of January 2014, they will be able to acquire those 2 trucks, which are badly needed to assist in improving the way we do things in the city.
Government's support to the municipalities in 2013 was not limited to or restricted to the subvention. Linden received $9.4 million to help meet the cost associated with paying revised minimum wages and salaries for the period September to December 2013. Government also in 2013 played a significant role at the level of the Georgetown municipality in helping to maintain cokers, pumps, and in engaging communities in various cleanup exercises.
There's more to come. Please stay tuned.
Amerindian rights to land ownership continues to be a high priority for the PBPC government. The signing of a US $10.7 million agreement with the United Nations Development Program has paved the way for the implementation of the Land Titling and Demarcation Project, which is expected to provide absolute grants and certificates of title to eligible Amerindian communities and villages. There are 97 titled villages, while 77 others have had their lands demarcated. The Ministry of Amerindian Affairs will be working to process the first batch of 33 communities for land extension and 70 for demarcation under the 3-year land titling project. In an effort to better their lives, more than 42,000 pensioners are currently enjoying a 25% increase in their pension. This is in addition to the waiver of the Guyana Water Incorporated's bill. And in another attempt to enhance their lives, over 8,500 pensioners are benefiting from $20,000 subsidy yearly towards their electricity bills with the Guyana Power and Light Incorporated.
Guyana as a tourist destination continues to receive international acclaim. The reputable National Geographic Traveler has named Destination Guyana as one of the must-see places in 2014. The renowned magazine said Guyana is the best-kept secret in South America with stunning natural wonders. This year, increased focus will be placed on enhancing the standards within the industry, focusing on tourism products and services, multi-destination itinerary planning, events management, ecotourism, and sustainable principles and guidelines, as well as a grading scheme which will be developed for the industry. Contractors working on education projects in Region 5 have been cautioned against failing to meet their deadlines.
At the Nova Primary and Secondary School, $50.67 million was invested for an extension which is expected to accommodate 180 students. This contract was awarded to SC Associate and was expected to be completed during a 6-month period. At Myconi Primary, a new wing is being built at a cost of $20.97 million to accommodate 200 students, and that contract was awarded to TB Construction. Both projects were expected to be completed before the new school term, but the contractors are not on schedule, and from all reports the works would not be completed within the given time. Recently, Minister within the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development Norma Whitaker checked on these projects.
In spite of the best efforts of the regional chairman, the REO, the engineer, to work with the contractor to identify the challenges that they are facing and see how we can help them. The slow pace of implementation has been a challenge, and with schools scheduled to be reopened in another week, it's a concern for the region and for us at the ministry and the government as a whole. We have noticed that with respect to the other programs, health, public works, the region has been able to attain 100% in terms of completion of these projects, and we want to join in commending the chairman, the REO and the staff and the council on this success. And we would not wish that those two projects under the education program take away from the success.
In the case of Novar, the contractor continued to extend the completion date, however, promised that the work will be completed by January 6th.
The region is in favor of having the contract terminated, which I think is a fair way to go, because I have determined that the region has made quite a lot of effort to assist the contractor. They have engaged the contractor over time to find out what are the difficulties.
Meanwhile, Fairfield Community Center was rehabilitated under the President Youth Choice Initiative to the tune of $4.5 million. The works include 3 sanitary blocks. Once completed, the center will benefit hundreds of youths in computer training, home economics, and sewing classes. Similar programs are also on stream in 2 other areas.
The Ministry of Human Services and Social Security has had a very successful year in 2013 and will continue its work in the new year towards ensuring Guyanese enjoy their rights.
Ministry of Human Services and Social Security Jennifer Webster at the year-end press conference said the International Labour Organization Tackle project will be continued by government and the National Action Plan on Gender-Based Violence will be completed. She added the ministry plans to make life for senior citizens much easier in 2014 through the provision of special training for health officials in the area of caring for the elderly. A lot of emphasis will be placed on the provision of better transport for senior citizens, and more attention will be paid to senior citizens' homes.
The need for identification of programs to support their continued involvement in the economic, cultural, and community life of our country. And we want to look also at specific attention to training of personnel to deal with some of the specific related health issues that affect our senior citizens, like Alzheimer's and mental health and dementia and diabetes, etc.
The ministry hopes to continue provision of transportation, nutritional support, numeracy and literacy help, parenting workshops, and psychosocial support to students of Dora and Kurukuru along the Suicide-Linden Highway through the Tackle program.
In 2014 also, we have made plans to continue through the ministry a project which was started through the ILO with funding to tackle child labor, the Tackle project. And that project, we hope this year, we've put it into our budget, we hope to continue to support our young children.
Domestic violence has been one of the ministry's major focus in 2013, and this will continue in 2014 as it plans to work along with the Guyana Police Force to create a special unit for victims. It will be a one-stop center where victims can report abuse.
Programs and policies to empower women, especially those who are single parents, continued as hundreds more were trained in 2013 under the Board of Industrial Training, while the Women of Work program empowered many others.
1,326 women received loans under the Women of Work program, allowing them to establish small businesses, while 447 single parents were certified through the Board of Industrial Training.
In 2013, through that program, I think we saw a different trend. Whilst we did have new applications for loans made by single women, we saw that some of those who were recipients of loans earlier, prior, became second and third term borrowers. And this year we saw 22 of them, which is quite commendable.
This revolutionary microcredit scheme also allows for single-parent women to access collateral-free loans within the range of $100,000 to $200,000.
They were seeking loans in areas such as cosmetology, catering, poultry rearing to expand their poultry rearing farms, garment construction, just to name a few.
This program is an initiative between the Ministry and the Guyana Bank for Trade and Industry.
There's more to come, please stay tuned. Guyana as a tourist destination continues to receive international acclaim. The reputable National Geographic Traveler has named Destination Guyana as one of the must-see places in 2014. The renowned magazine said Guyana is the best-kept secret in South America with stunning natural wonders. This year, increased focus will be placed on enhancing the standards within the industry, focusing on tourism products and services, multi-destination itinerary planning, events management, ecotourism, and sustainable principles and guidelines, as well as a grading scheme which will be developed for the industry.
Amerindian rights to land ownership continues to be a high priority for the PBPC government. The signing of a US $10.7 million agreement with the United Nations Development Program has paved the way for the implementation of the land titling and demarcation project, which is expected to provide absolute grants and certificates of title to eligible Amerindian communities and villages. There are 97 titled villages, while 77 others have had their lands demarcated. The Ministry of Amerindian Affairs will be working to process the first batch of 33 communities for land extension and 70 for demarcation under the 3-year land titling project. In an effort to better their lives, more than 42,000 pensioners are currently enjoying a 25% increase in their pension. This is in addition to the waiver of the Guyana Water Incorporated's bill. And in another attempt to enhance their lives, over 8,500 pensioners are benefiting from $20,000 subsidy yearly towards their electricity bills with the Guyana Power and Light Incorporated.
During Cabinet's meeting on December 31, several issues of national concern were discussed. These were subsequently brought to the attention of the media. At its final statutory meeting for the year 2013, Cabinet gave the green light to 9 contracts in the areas of health, legal affairs, and sport. Recapping on the events of the past year, Cabinet took note of the major successes as well as some of the most damning failures that sought to jeopardize the country's development.
The 10th Parliament, we would join with popular public sentiment in describing as a disaster. An institution that indeed has failed to live up to its expectations, our expectations, Guyanese expectations, and indeed not only failed to live up to expectations, has seemed to perversely taken pleasure in disrupting, delaying, and denying government's pro-development thrust. Crowning this debacle, of course, has been a miler.
Alliance for Change leader Camarade Ramchatan's wiretapping accusations were dismissed by the Cabinet Secretary as another unfathomable declaration.
I want to reassure him, if that is indeed possible, I want to reassure him that his fears generally should be disregarded, and that he has very little basis, none whatsoever, for even thinking that the government of Guyana and the telecommunication service providers, the telco, would engage in unauthorized wiretapping of his phone or any Guyanese. Wiretapping is prescribed by law, and I continue to offer the assurances to Guyanese that any wiretapping that is done in Guyana fully subscribes with the legal framework.
The focus of the legislation on wiretapping continues to be done exclusively with regards to investigation of crimes. Meanwhile, with effect from February 1, 2014, the cost of birth, death, and marriage certificates will be increased to $300. There has also been an increase in the insurable earnings ceiling at NIS.
The insurable earnings ceiling, of course, is the limit under which the contribution rate is applied for the compilation of your NIS contributions. So $158,000 per month is the limit to which contributions are gathered. On that basis, the 14%, that is the contribution rate as we sit here, would determine your actual payment of the contributions, your contributions for the National Insurance Scheme.
And that has brought us to the end of this week's program, but before we go, here's a recap of the highlights. Health Vision Strategy launched, 500 more turnkey homes to be constructed this year, and Salvation Army assured of government support. To remember that Weekly Digest and other government information can be found on our website www.gina.gov.gy, or you can send us your comments and suggestions at gina@gina.gov.gy. Thank you for watching, and do join us again next week for another program. Until then, be safe and have a great rest of the week. Goodbye.